Managers, let me tell you why Murder on the Warp Train messed me up more than any Intervallo, and possibly any Kanto so far. This Intervallo shows us the consequences of our actions more than any before, the loss of innocence in more than one way, and the breaking of a preconceived notion that maybe justice can prevail. We have come to the end of what I'm going to start calling the detective phase of the game. We have had Kanto 6, Timekilling Time, and now Murder on the Warp Train. No other sections of the game had more ups and downs than these three, and in all of them we play some sort of detective. Does MWT hold up to what came before it? Is it leading this train in quality, or does it fall off and leave a small ripple in the grand scheme of things? Well, that's what we're here to talk about, so let's get into it. Well guys, what can I say about MWT? Well, we get released from the time shenanigans that happened with T-Corp just to find out that, well, we can't drive to our next location, that it's time for us to take a trip on a train. And to be honest with you guys, with me not playing Library, apparently I don't know what this truly means. Mons keeps beating me over the head, telling me you'll get more understanding of it when you get through Library. So hopefully I'll learn what this all means later. Well, for some damn reason, the sinners don't treat this like a special thing. In fact, they are very cautious about it until we find out that we have first class tickets. And honestly, managers, the beginning spot did not have me that interested at all in the Intervallo. I mean, I knew the name, I knew something was going to go down on the train, but hearing the minutia of getting on the train and the logistics had me flashing back to the trade wars of the Star Wars trilogy. And frankly, that's not something I'm into. However, right after we are frozen, we get oh so rudely awakened by somewhere like 1,000 years before we were supposed to even get woke up. And this is immediately where our story starts to get good. What was good about it? Well, we find out that this whole time, Faust has had some weird connection to a massive database of other Fausts that are all connected through the Gela shaft, which is important, but not to what I'm telling here. Up until this point, I just thought that Faust was either an AI like Angela, or Angela herself with like some brainwashed programming going on. Yes, I haven't played Library yet, and I apologize for that, so I'm still working with incomplete information, but I am working on it. We also get told about a key card, giving us access to the whole train. The coolest thing that came from this whole thing is Faust had a mini crisis thinking that she wouldn't be liked by the rest of the sinners if her info wasn't as impeccable as it always has been. The true fear she seems to show when she realizes that without her insights, she might be disposable. However, instead of what she thought, it seemed like the rest of the sinners thought it was cool to have a Faust with less of a stick up her ass, and honestly, yeah, I can see it. See, her human side really brought her up a couple notches on how I appreciate her as a character. Due to the comment sections of the live stream, I know that this story revolves around another book called Murder on the Orient Express. But let's face it, that story didn't have motherfucking vampires in it. And I know that technically they're not vampires but blood fiends, but come on, it's a location thing. And like always, Project Moon brings the horror out. People not truly being people anymore, slowly turned into blood bags to feed their new masters, are like familiars or thralls from other vampire media, just controlled by the true blood fiends. This Intervallo was awesome in bringing a classic horror icon on, and even though it's a look into the future, I hope they continue to be this badass in Don's Kanto. You know the coolest thing about you guys? When you bite into the subscribe button and tear apart the like button. Anyway, as I have made my way through this journey, you guys watching me in stream, I felt many things, but never as intently as I did in this Intervallo. With Gregor, I felt desperation as we tried to save Yuri, and then the fall. All hope lost knowing that we could do nothing to help. With Raja, I felt disappointment knowing that we didn't get to learn much about her, Yi Sing had me flying high, Sinclair got me pumped up for a minute, Ishmael brought about the classic letting go of the one you want to get revenge on trope, in a good way, and Heathcliff made me feel a huge sense of emptiness. However, usually when it comes to the Intervallos, most of the time I just either feel excited for what's to come, or I get a good laugh out of it, honestly guys. Chicken-headed Heathcliff, you know, all that good shit. And then we got to this Intervallo. Dawn being herself, protecting all the people in her path that she can, being the true fixer aspirant that we know her to be. The group of sinners running into another fixer, a true one in the form of Sasha. And from the get-go, I did not trust her, for the color of her name was red. And like the members of the League of Nine before her, I didn't trust them, and I would never trust anyone in this game whose name is red. But I wrote it off, as she assured us that she would protect the people in the car that we were in as we moved through the rest of the train and figured out what the mystery truly was. This included a small female child, one that immediately attached themselves to Dawn in a way that only children with a heavy imagination are known to do. This was infectious to me, and like so long ago with Yuri, I grew attached to a side character. And well, this was my biggest mistake. No gaming company that I have ever liked has been able to do this to me, other than maybe Naughty Dog with Joel's daughter in The Last of Us Part 1. With so little screen time, I thought, we have a better kid character than Crayon here, someone we can mascot with for Dawn. But no, these bastards at Project Moon wait until we have discovered so much about what's going on the train. They wait until we find the Bloodfiend and everything, and just as I start to think we might have figured everything out already, the sinners come to the realization that this can't be the only Bloodfiend on board. And right on cue, poof, Sasha appears again. And this is when I realized that both Sasha and Cassetti here have the same blood red text. And like a light switch being flipped, I realize what has happened. First, the sinners, but as the text slowly made its way across the screen, it hit me, and not softly, as PM has the line about one of the blood bags being smaller than the rest. That again, we failed to save even a single person from the harm we were hunting. Just so those of you who don't know will now know, this is why it hits so hard. I have a small daughter, and so for this reason, scenes like this just happen to hit me harder than most others. And honestly, I was right there with Dawn. The crash out of Dawn here was completely justified. There's nothing any of you can say that will change that in my mind. Managers, when it looked like we would have another Ricardo situation with an unbeatable enemy, I was getting a bit annoyed. Dawn constantly breaking apart every piece of this thing is exactly how I felt I would want to be in the same situation. But both me and the sinners forgot something very important, because when it was first introduced in the story, it wasn't the biggest thing that the story had pointed out. But I got hit with the classic Chekhov's keycard here as the vampires get an upper hand on us. Just like you probably forgot that I mentioned the keycard during the beginning of the video, I had forgot the importance of this item. So with both sides in a state of desperation, Faust looks to her fellow sinners, to the most unlikely source of inspiration in Raja, to make a gamble here. To me, this shows that Faust is not as mechanical as she comes off, even more so. So, good on you, Project Moon. So as a bit of a side before we get to the most badass moment of the Intervallo, and to the chagrin of both audience and people in the chat with me, I called this damn escape plan before we even got to that point where they bring it up, you know, and the people in my chat and the voice chat were doing their best to gaslight me to think I was wrong. And the record shows I was right here. So anyway.
Couldn't we just go through one of the doors inside of the fucking Mistopheles and end up out of the train? Alden, stop using your head.
I love you. Stop
being smart.
How is the most amazing thing to come from the game just so connected to what I thought was a throwaway line about a fucking pair of shoes? Somehow, Rosanate, and I know I probably said that wrong, but whatever, has shown us one thing, that our most badass sinner to date is also our little creature here. One thing I want to know is, were you guys calling her creature before this reveal, or was this a thing after? Have I been saying this the whole time, not knowing the truth? Oh God, what else have you guys programmed me for? While the finale of the Intervallo was awesome, with Don's true self destroying all of our problems, and the key card at the same time, this one scene, guys, if I can get a display of this, is going on my wall. You know what? No. You know what? These two scenes. All in all, this Intervallo is probably my favorite out of all of them. It is right up there with my favorite cantos in the game. Also, let's hope that the future is just as good or better still. Well guys, that's the video. Did I miss something that you would have liked me to talk about? What do you think about this Intervallo? Let me know below. Don't forget to check out my other content and come to the live shows every day to possibly be in one of my future videos. But like always guys, remember, be good to each other. See you in the next video. Peace.